What's happening, everybody? How y'all making out today, tonight, this evening, this morning, whatever it may be? Welcome to another episode of the Crash Bang Boom Drumming Podcast. Today's guest is Dave Haley of Tasmanian thrashy tech death band Psycroptic. He and I caught up on their tour through the States, completed their trip at Brooklyn Bazaar, and on a great bill that included Conjurer, Psycroptic, Voivod, and Revocation. And what a sick-ass bill it was to see all those bands, especially Psycroptic, Voivod, and Revocation back-to-back. What a show, my God. But Dave and I get into he and his brother Joe, who so happens to be the guitarist of the band's upbringing, and early music classes, his first kit, gravitating towards aggressive music at a young age, the game changer that Pantera was, his thoughts on triggers, and a whole lot more. So check it out. It's a good time talking to him, and what a cool dude. Great player and a kick-ass band. Dudes know how to shred. Shout out to my sponsor, New Orleans Record Press. If you're looking to release vinyl for your project, look no further than NewOrleansRecordPress.com. It's the first independently owned and operated full-scale vinyl pressing facility in the city of New Orleans. You can get real-time quotes for the many vinyl coloring and patterning options, as well as packaging, printering, and mastering options. You know, all that good shit. Just go on over to NewOrleansRecordPress.com. Tell them Crash Bang Boom sent you. They got a quicker turnaround time than about anywhere else, at least for now, so get it while it's hot. Crash Bang Boom Podcast can be found on iTunes Podcast, my SoundCloud and YouTube pages, Stitcher, Luminary, Google Play, Podbean, and more. If you like what you hear, feel free to check out any of the previous 150-plus episodes. Give me a like, a subscription, a positive rating, a glowing review, and or all of the above. The support is always appreciated. Hope you all enjoy it. So here we go without further ado. The Thunder Down Under. Down Under. I can't really do the Australian thing so well. Dave Haley, Psycroptic. Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
All right, Dave Haley, all the way from Tasmania. It's hard for me to even have a sense of where that is. I know it's near Australia and or a part of Australia. You can tell me more about that. But congrats on coming to New York, man.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Abs-
It's the second time this year we've been. We played a show in Brooklyn, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, killer. We're on a pretty awesome package with our buddies in Revocation, Voivod, Skeletal Remains, and Conjurer. So
right on. Well, now that I'm talking to you, I would have talked to three of the band's drummers.
Sick.
Yeah, I've talked to Ash from Revocation and Michelle from Voivod as well.
Right on. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I grew up on Voivod, so I was tripping out talking to him. It was really surreal.
They're cult legends.
Yeah,
You know, it's
right?
insane. Yeah, their history's insane. It's
It
crazy.
is.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Well, tell me a little bit about this run. You mentioned the bands that you're on. How far into it are you presently, and how far do you have to go?
This is it. Last day.
Tonight's the last night?
Tonight is the last night.
How long did y'all come out on this run for?
It's a month. Been a month.
Really?
Yeah.
How's it been?
It's been great, yeah. It's gone super fast, super smooth, uneventful, which is what you want on
Right.
a tour.
Yeah.
It's been great, you know.
Nice.
The attendance has been good. I think we've picked up a lot of new fans, so yeah,
Sick.
It's been a fun
It's
one.
awesome. Y'all and Revocation are quite a match on a bill.
Yeah, I think so. We've toured before in Australia a couple of times.
Okay.
And that worked out really well. And our connection goes back a long way with our bass player, Todd Stern, used to actually work for Revocation back in the day. He was their TM and merch guy. So
Okay.
we've had a long history with those guys. Yeah,
Nice.
they're good friends.
Right on. Now, I know the band has been around for 20 years. How many times have y'all been to the States?
I think about eight or nine times.
Really?
Yeah, we did take a break for a while there, just because of the costs. Every time we come, you've got to get the visas and.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
I mean, the process of doing it. And I mean, you were saying that while you're on what I think of as the mainland of Australia, I guess your brother, Joe, is on the island of Tasmania.
Tasmania, yeah. He lives in the capital city, Hobart.
Okay.
It's a small city, about 250,000 people.
Wow.
And I live in Melbourne, which is about 5 million people.
Right.
Yeah,
So significantly bigger.
Yeah. Hobart's a beautiful city. That's where I grew up.
Yeah.
And Joe still lives there, and that's where we still rehearse and record.
So for rehearsing and recording and writing, are y'all sharing files and demo and stuff, and then getting together and then
Yeah.
And then,
Joe actually freelances in a studio.
Okay.
He's an engineer. That's his job. So
sweet.
It makes it very easy for demoing and just sending ideas backwards and forwards.
Absolutely.
You know, he might write a full song or might write some riffs, send it over. I'll learn the material and then fly down and rehearse, or
Yeah.
he'll fly to Melbourne, and whatever, whatever works for us, we'll do.
Do you have a studio or electronic kit in an apartment or house, or what is your?
No, I've actually got a permanent space.
Okay.
I share with another phenomenal drummer named Ron Brenz.
Okay.
He's a good friend of mine. We share a space, permanent room. It's a weird one. I've actually gotten rid of all drum equipment from my house because I found I was just making excuses not to practice. So
And with it in your house.
yeah. So if I've got a destination,
Wow.
I get up in the morning and I go to work.
Yeah.
Rather than my practice pad is downstairs. I'll go and do some work.
Right.
And then get distracted by something else. It's way more productive for me to
Interesting.
just to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's about a 20-minute drive.
Oh wow, yeah, I'm kind of the inverse of you. I'm like an 8-minute bike ride.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
I'm like, I just wish it was in my apartment.
I did for a while. Me and my lady have got a 2-bedroom apartment, and my electronic kit actually turned into a clothes rack. So it was like, this is not working.
Right.
Let's get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Just to change it up a little bit.
Absolutely.
And it's been working.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's killer, man. I'm a fan of this last record. That's how I found out about y'all. And then I
cool.
realized, oh, wow, this band has put out 7 full lengths and has been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And then I found out where you are from. And I was like, wow, it immediately. So it's going to be interesting, I guess, talking to you. You mentioned the visas and everything, but like just traveling to the States, how long does that take?
Well, I have to do the flight tomorrow in reverse.
Okay.
So we'll do New York to Los Angeles,
Right.
which I think is about
5 or 6. Yeah.
And then Los Angeles to Melbourne, which is between 12 and 14.
Okay.
So it's a day travel,
Right.
24 hours.
Right.
With all the layovers and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I went to Thailand recently, and that was a fucking process because we got really cheap tickets. So we're like, yeah, we'll do it. And then we realized next time, let's just pay more.
Yeah.
Let's just pay more because we ended up doing New York to LA, LA to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to Thailand. Then we went to Cambodia for a few days. So we flew from Thailand to Cambodia. So on the way back, we did Cambodia to Thailand, Thailand to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to LA, LA to New York. 2 days.
Savage. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, not feeling awesome after that.
Just pay the extra. Just
Fuck
pay the extra.
yeah, we learned the hard way.
Yeah. But you gotta.
Yeah.
But it's something we're used to, just starting tours. If we're going
Right.
to tour the US or Europe,
Yeah.
there's a day either side.
Yeah.
for travel. It's
Exactly.
It's just how it is.
Yeah. Do you feel as though one market or the other is especially receptive between Europe or the States?
I think lately it's been the US.
Good.
US and Canada have been really good to us,
Nice.
and we've become very accustomed to touring over here.
Yeah.
We like it. It's good. So I think we'll in future probably focus a little bit more on the US.
Okay.
Smooth. It's easy. The fans are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are y'all doing a van and a trailer?
No, we've actually got an RV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's like
You got a big ass RV?
Yeah. So
Fuck yeah.
strangely enough, we get pretty crazy rates because we're non-North American citizens.
Right.
It's just a promotion from a particular company. So it actually works out just a little bit more expensive than a van. And we're like, fuck it. It's more comfortable. You're self-contained.
Yeah.
You actually save more money because you don't have to get hotels. And, you've got a kitchen and a
Yeah.
fridge and whatnot. So
That's awesome, dude.
yeah, it's pretty luxurious.
Sounds like y'all figured it out on this run.
We figured it out a couple of runs ago from friends of ours.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, from Indis and Tomb. They're another
Okay.
Australian band.
Yeah.
We saw them rock up to a show in an RV, and we had our shitty van and trailer.
Right.
Oh, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And they hooked us up.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you think back to the first time y'all came to the States, what was that tour like?
Eye-opening. So that was...
Is that a way of saying it was a shit show?
No. It was more... It was a killer tour. It was
Really?
Summer Slaughter.
Oh, wow, okay.
2008.
Wow.
I guess just the nature of... It's just done differently over here than in Australia and Europe.
How so? Not as well coordinated from what I've seen. Like European festivals and even smaller scale shows, the way that they coordinate and the way they look after the bands is so significantly better than what I've seen in the States.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, festivals over there have got it on lockdown. You know, they've
Big
done
time.
it. They've done it for years.
Yeah.
It's more the way that the venues treat you over here. Not
Right.
necessarily the promoters.
Right.
The majority of the promoters are killer.
Yeah.
But there's little things like, you know, the venues want their merch cut. It's like the first time we come over, we're like,
What?
what's a merch
That's
cut?
complete bullshit.
You know, just things like that. And, you know, here's X amount of beers and be happy with it.
Right.
So
The merch cut is ridiculous.
it's pretty insane. But on the flip side, it's like everything in the US is about the hustle. You know?
Right.
So you can understand it.
Well, you haven't been dealing with that so much as of late. Was that just like on that first tour, or do you still encounter some of the merch
No,
cut?
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Really?
But we get around it. It's fine.
Oh, man. That's rough because, I mean, you're only going to make so much from ticket sales. So merches can be really where you make your money.
Yeah,
at.
exactly.
So that
Yeah.
for that venue then to be, and I get it, venues can be hard to sustain.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of a shit in the
Yeah,
bargain
it's like,
there.
you know, you want a percentage of the merch. How about you give me a percentage of the beer then?
Right,
So,
exactly. Here's a trade-off. Give us a few more beers.
Yeah. Or just give us a cut in the sales, you know?
Exactly. Now you're doing it right, man. That's amazing. Well, tell me a little bit about putting this record out as the Kingdom Falls, right?
As the Kingdom Drowns.
There
As
it
the Kingdom
is.
Drowns. Yeah. We put that out.
About a year ago, right?
Yeah, it was November 2018.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was all tracked in Tasmania.
Wow.
So Joe did all the tracking in the studio that he freelances in. I recorded drums. The studio is called, I think, AAA Studios.
Okay.
And then Joe tracked the rest of the material at his home studio.
Nice.
And then we got Will Putney to mix it.
Oh, I didn't realize that Will Putney mixed it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just trying something new. We've always been about trying different things, you know, whether it's musically different or different sort of artwork, different sort of tour package, whatever.
Yeah.
So we got onto Will through Todd Stern again. They're old school buddies.
Right.
So he was interested in a bit of bouncing backwards and forwards.
Right.
And yeah, the final product was really good. We're very happy with it.
Was it any more of a pain or a challenge to track this material than other records? Because, I mean, when I go back to the early stuff, I'd say it's more sort of traditional, quote unquote, sort of like tech death metal stuff. And I think increasingly, or at least maybe I would say over the last 3 records leading up to this one, that y'all have introduced maybe a little bit more thrash into it, maybe a little more groove thrash kind of shit, right?
Yeah, I guess more of a focus on groove and making it catchy, but still, I guess, intricate, while not making the songs boring, but not too complex. You know, it's a fine balance.
Absolutely.
I would say tracking this album for me was a lot more difficult.
Really?
Because we were actually writing and recording at the same time.
Ooh.
So I didn't know the material. We probably had 50% of the actual riffs written. So when we were doing it, I was just actually recording the structures.
Yeah.
So, well, this is how we think the song's going to go. So it was definitely a process. I'm very happy with the result. I think it's the best drum performance I've had on record.
Nice.
But it was a process because at the end of every day, you know, I was turning up at 9 a.m. and finishing at 6 or whenever I was cooked.
Right.
I'd feel like a piece of shit and the worst drummer in the world because I hadn't nailed the material before going in. So I'm learning it
On the fly.
and then recording it and then making sure it sounds, I guess, quote unquote, produced.
Right.
You know, it's not just random improvised patterns.
Sure.
So it was. I'm not going to say it was stressful because it was a very stress-free recording environment. Because it's just me and Joe in the studio.
Right.
We can come and go as we please.
But frustrating.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
It was good because I guess a lot of ideas weren't really solidified. So I wasn't attached to anything. So if we tried it and then listened back and it didn't sound quite right, scrap it, move on. You know, I wasn't going to fight for the part because I'd rehearsed
Didn't
it
really
in
have
a,
any-
you know,
yeah,
because
weren't attached to anything that you had written previously anyway.
Yeah, so I was definitely rehearsed in that I've been playing a lot of drums.
Right.
And coming up with a lot of ideas over the riffs that we had. I just hadn't said, okay, this is the part. So
Right.
it was creatively free, but very frustrating.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagine. And it's not like you're playing the most simple music either, necessarily.
No.
You know? Yeah. I mean, what would you say are some of the faster BPMs that you play on this most recent record? Because there's some pretty burning double bass shit happening.
Probably around the 240,
Okay.
250.
So it's burning.
Yeah. Like, personally, I will max out at, say, the 250. I don't really want to go above that because I know it's not going to be too consistent live. You know,
Exactly.
I've got to be able to play
set
live.
yourself up. Yeah.
And I think just for me, it kind of loses a little bit of the groove when you go just too fast.
Yes.
So a sweet spot for me is around that 230 double bass. You know, it's flying, but but you can still groove to it somewhat. You know?
Yeah. It's interesting because I've spoken to John Longstreth, and he's one of those guys that is so extreme.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, has the whole double. Do you play doubles with
singles? I play singles.
You play singles.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He figured out the doubles to really even then push it that. It's like,
he's insane.
dude, it's brutal. You watch it, it just seems superhuman.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I listen to your stuff. I've talked about it before on the podcast. I've struggled with double bass, even though in playing a single pedal I'm going on 30 years of drumming.
Oh, awesome.
I was always keeping time with my left foot.
Yeah.
And I've realized that what I was doing was, you know, I was playing eighth notes a lot of the time, but I've found that in leading with the right foot on the downbeat, I guess, I've flipped that and starting with my left more often, and it's actually it's been easier for me to do that.
Oh, cool.
It's a little bit harder to hit the one starting with my left foot. Yeah. That's a little weird, but once I'm in it, I'm good. But interestingly enough, from 20 plus years of keeping time with my left foot in a particular way, I also was heel up with my left foot and heel down with my right foot.
Oh,
so
cool.
then when they went on a pedal, I was like, well, fuck, I have to even this out.
Yeah.
So then I had to retrain my right foot. So I waited too long almost to get into it, and I developed some habits that made it tough for me to play double bass. So when I listen to you know, you and John Longstreth and these guys, you know, George Clyde and stuff, I'm just like, that is fucking insane.
You know, but you can still go back, and I've done this over the years, recently as well, and get out of bad habits and develop newer techniques.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few techniques. I had some serious problems with mid-tempo stuff.
Really?
Yeah, double bass between, I can tell you the exact BPMs because it was torturous for years, between 130 and 160, just doing 16th, which is, it's super mid-pace.
Right.
My body just doesn't really like it.
Did you start fast and just kind of always go fast?
No, I'd worked up to it initially, but just over the years, it comes and goes. It's never been good at that tempo.
Interesting.
So, recently went back and said, oh, well, I'm going to fix this, not by any traditional techniques that I've tried, but let me try some new stuff. Mm-hmm. So just introducing techniques that I haven't tried before and just sitting down. It's very humbling going back and starting from scratch with something.
It's once again frustrating as hell.
Yeah, frustrating. But then when you get to the end, you're like, wow, well, it's inspiring for other practice because it's like, well, if I'm not too old to learn some new shit.
Right.
So double bass wise, I think I use about 3 or 4 techniques.
Really?
Across the spectrum, just to
get it done. What technique in particular did you find that assisted you between the 130 and 160 BPMs?
Constant release. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't know. I know so the heel swivel and then
So it's like an in between one. I got it from a combination of 2 different drum DVDs.
Okay.
The Steve Smith one.
Oh, nice.
And the Jojo Mayer.
Oh, one. Well, both guys are badass.
Yeah. So it's essentially just switching backwards and forwards between a heel up and a heel down. So you do one stroke heel. It's hard to
what it almost sounds like to me is kind of, do you know the push pull technique?
It's kind of like that.
That's kind of what this sounds like.
Yeah. So for that mid tempo, that's sort of the problems.
Interesting.
So I just slotted it in there. And, yeah, it's fixed a lot of issues, which is good.
That's awesome. I'm a fan of Jojo Mayer's first DVD that he put out. I watched that thing obsessively.
It's phenomenal.
I go any chance I can when he plays in New York. I go see him.
That's right. He's based here.
Yeah. He's for me. He's in my top 5 of all time
for sure.
Really, like I go see him any chance I can get. I'd have his music, whatever. He's an amazing dude.
Phenomenal.
And Steve Smith is a badass too. There's a really cool video that he has out, and he goes over different hand techniques, almost similar to what you're talking about with foot techniques. And he has all kinds of different hand technique stuff that he does that looks goofy at times, but if you're like, hey man, if it sounds good and if it works, and I mean, as you get older, you really got to start thinking about some of this shit.
Exactly.
It's not just the overusage syndrome of playing all these repetitions all these years. Shit starts falling apart. And not just your hardware or your drums. I'm talking about our bodies.
100%. Yeah.
Do you deal with any pain, or have you had any phases where you were dealing with any particular pain?
At times over the years, but I do try to keep on top of my fitness. Nothing, I guess, I don't have a particular workout routine. I just work out most days.
Full body stuff is always good.
Yeah, I do a lot of running. I do a lot of gym work. I'd probably work out more on tour than at home.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Where do you find do you just do push-ups and shit?
No, we go to Planet Fitness.
Yeah. I talked to Naveen Copperwise. He came through Brooklyn, and they do the same thing. They all have Planet Fitness memberships, and they shower there and work out, and that's their thing. And he's like, you can always find one. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Y'all are on the same train.
That's it. And you feel better. You play way better.
Really?
Yeah, it's great.
If I didn't mention it, obviously Joe, your brother, also in the band. Y'all are a brother band, i.e. Like Gojira, Van Halen, AC/DC. Who are some other brother bands? Pantera, of course. The Isley Brothers. There's a shit ton of the Isleys and the Isley Brothers. Oh, I suppose the Jacksons. There was a lot of Jacksons. Some doing better than others, apparently.
Yes.
But tell me a little bit about y'all deciding to play music, and what were y'all listening to at the time? Was it like, I want to play drums, will you play guitar? We can be in a band together. Was it quite like that, or not so much?
Definitely not like that.
It wasn't like that at all.
We grew up in quite a small country town.
Okay.
Was
it pretty rural?
Yeah. So the whole town was probably 2,000 people.
Wow.
And our parents were both teachers at the school.
Okay.
So the school, between kindergarten and grade 10, I think there was 250 kids. So each grade's got between 15 and 20 kids in it.
Wow, yeah.
So it's pretty small.
Small town, yeah.
And as part of the curriculum, music is, when you get to grade 7, music's compulsory.
That's awesome. You want to talk about another big difference, especially from like Scandinavian countries and shit, and even like just north of here in Canada, where they have grants and the government will pay artists and this and that and the other. America is fighting to keep just music in schools. That's how stupid we are about this, and don't realize the connections between developing creatively or just having some aspect of that in your life, and how maybe if you don't end up being creative or become an artist per se, that maybe it opens up something else and it can lead you in different ways. But it's important to develop this. So that's amazing that it was obligatory.
It's great. So in primary school we do a little bit of music, but as soon as you get to grade 7, which is what we call secondary school, the classes get a little bit more structured. So remembering back, drums were not my first choice. I didn't really even pick the drums.
Really?
It was almost by default. So we played, I think in the first term we all played guitar, and then in second term our music teacher just basically lined us all up and said, well, this is a straight 8, and got each of us to try and play a beat
on a drum set.
On the drum set,
Nice.
And I was the one that could hold it for the longest, and so, well, you play drums now.
How old were you?
I would have been probably 11.
Wow.
Then.
Okay. I got my first kit when I was 15, so a little bit later than you.
Yeah, I didn't get my first kit till I was 13.
Okay.
So it was a little bit later.
Right.
For the first couple of years, I didn't think much of it. It was just something I did twice a week in music class.
So cool, though.
And that's it, So I wasn't like, oh, I'm a musician, I'm a drummer. It's just like, oh, that's cool, So I could only play a straight 8 for the first 2 years.
Of course.
I didn't hit a cymbal, didn't use the toms, nothing.
Yeah.
Just didn't think anything of it. And Yeah, it was when I was 13. I think my dad relented to my nagging about getting a drum kit, and bought. I still remembered. We both drove to this guy's house. It was about an hour away. And he bought a Pearl Maxwin kit for me for $300.
Nice.
And from that day, it was like, okay, this is pretty sick.
Right.
And shortly after that, that's when I started to... Oh, no, it was before that. It was a couple of months before I got drum lessons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my mum wanted to make sure I wouldn't give up the instrument. So she's like, well, you got to take some lessons for a while, and then we'll buy you a drum kit. So that would have been, about 13. I started taking some lessons.
Gotcha. And with that first kit, what were you listening to and vibing on when you were...
I guess stuff like Metallica, Guns N' Roses.
Of course.
Skid Row, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Definitely Motley Crue.
Yeah. So we're talking the 80s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah,
you and
90s.
I are close in age then.
Yeah, so I'm 39.
Oh, I'm older than you.
Okay. I had my, 10 or 15 cassette tapes.
Right.
They were all, all the Metallica albums.
Yep.
All the Motley Crue albums up to then, and then a couple of other ones, and that's what I used to listen to.
Absolutely. It's amazing, man. A lot of those bands, especially the hair metal bands like Skid Row, and I mean Motley Crue continued to put out more and more records, but those first two Motley Crue records are so good. I still rock them every time.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I love like even first couple of Twisted Sister records, like, because once again, I'm older. That was the music of my childhood, and it was like that was like rebellious music. And now you look at them, you're like, they look like dudes in drag. It's hilarious. It's like the least rebellious, but I suppose some of the lyrics seemed as though they were rebellious. You know? So for like a young teenage kid, angsty, high energy kid, I heard that shit and I was like, yeah, man,
this is it. This is it.
Were you attracted? Do you feel to heavier, more energetic music? Do you consider yourself kind of an energetic person or an anxious person?
No, definitely not anxious.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't seem like you are.
No, energetic in that I have to work out every day.
So
if I don't play drums every day, something feels wrong.
Right.
Definitely not anxious.
Yeah.
But I've always been attracted to the heavier, more extreme music.
Right.
So I think it was when Pantera released Far Beyond Driven, I saw the film clip for I'm Broken.
Oh, wow.
On TV, and I was like, what is this?
Right.
And I remember buying the cassette from Kmart.
Wow.
Because it was number one in the charts.
That's insane.
And listening to that, and that was the game changer.
That was the game changer.
That was the game changer.
I remember definitely when I first heard Pantera, it was because I'm from Louisiana, and so Phil's from there,
Yeah.
And so Pantera was a band like regionally in the South, people knew about them.
Yeah.
And so I remember right when Cowboys from Hell came out, and I had the VHS tape, and I was obsessed with them. And then I remember when Vulgar Display of Power came out. That one for me, I was
that
like,
was the one?
Yeah. I mean, not really that sold me on heavy music. It was a little bit heavier than a lot of the things that I feel like I had heard, But I mean, also I was way into Metallica. I saw Megadeth on the Rust in Peace tour in 91,
Sick.
and that. Now that was a record that I obsessed over,
right? Okay.
As well, But I mean, the first time that I heard Metallica, I remember exactly where I was. I remember he put the record on. He started with "For Whom the Bells Tolls."
Oh, sick!
And I was like, "What is this, dude?" It was so awesome. Hearing that.
Well, that was my first album. Was Ride the Lightning.
Yeah. Shredding record, man.
And I wasn't familiar with the band at all. It was just the artwork.
And
I'd seen older kids with, the back patches, and I'm like, wow, this is sick.
And this is in a small town of Tasmania.
Well, yeah, definitely no music stores.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It was still reaching you all the way there, which is amazing.
Yeah. The capital city, Hobart, it's a small city,
right.
So it had a couple of music stores.
Yeah.
So you still get the majority of the major releases.
Right.
So pre-internet, a lot of
right.
the time you're, and if none of your friends are into it,
yeah,
you're basing your decision on the artwork.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I mean, that's the irony of it. I talk about it all the time, how bizarre it was that you would have to meet somebody somewhere that knew about this, or hope that if you went to a record store that the dude or the woman or whoever was working there knew about what you were interested in and could guide you in the right way.
Exactly.
But it was kind of it was a bit of a coin toss.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, I definitely got records where I was like, oh, the cover looks cool, and then I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the chance you took.
Yeah, that was the roll of the dice, you know.
Yeah.
And I think back then you would give albums a little bit more time, you know. If you didn't like it on the first listen,
Right.
you go back and listen to it a few more times,
Right.
to see if it did resonate with you eventually. Because it's like, well, I've saved up all the money, so
Right.
I don't want to, you know, I
Yeah.
don't want to have thrown it away.
Yeah.
But now you can listen to a song for 10 seconds and be like, nah, this is shit, turn it off.
Exactly, and
So-
it's not linear. I mean, I suppose you could always fast forward or rewind a tape, or it was even easier on a record because you could just skip
Just
it
skip
over.
it, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, now you're just scrubbing through tracks, like this, like that. Yeah, get that. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So-
such a totally different world.
Yeah, so I think you can get a little bit myopic these days of
Absolutely.
very fine focused of this is the thing that I'm into.
Yeah.
But
Which is ironic because you have access to all
everything,
of it.
everything. You got too much.
But that can also be overwhelming. So sometimes it's easier to just be like, I'm focusing on this one thing, and put the blinders on. I'm into this.
yeah, totally.
For sure. But when you going back to the Pantera thing, so when you heard that, did that also affect your drumming? Did you start getting into more double bass stuff, or?
Not initially because it just scared me. I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. You know, I'll never be able
intense.
to do that.
Really?
So I would have been, when that came out, probably about 14. Yeah, it would have been
90.
30, it
Yeah,
was-
I
came
think
out
they were 90, 92, and 94.
Yeah,
I
so-
believe was Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, and Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah, so I was in grade 9, so it would have been 14.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It wasn't until a few years later, probably when I was 15, 16, when I got a double pedal, and that's when I started to mess around with it. You know,
Right.
by then we'd actually moved from the country to the city.
Right. Yeah. the little city. Yeah.
And then I was taking regular drum lessons.
Okay.
By then, so it was probably 15, 16 is when I started to really. Okay, cool. This could be a thing that I want to pursue.
And was your brother starting to play at any point in this?
He started, I think, when he was about 11. And
Okay.
I was, very much into Metallica, and
Yeah.
so I'm not going to say forced him, but it was like, well, maybe you should play guitar. And here's a tab book that
Right.
I bought you, so maybe you should learn these songs. I think I actually bought him for Christmas or his birthday, the Pigeon Purge tab book. So
Nice.
I had I don't know, 10 Metallica, whatever, however many songs.
Right.
It's like, well, you should learn guitar and learn this.
Yeah.
Initially, he was very receptive to it, and then finding his own musical voice as well, I guess.
Right.
So when I was taking lessons, he was too. We'd go to the same place.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of, I guess, well, he's doing something, I want to do something too, and like, well, I'll push you into this, and then we can maybe jam.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Were you driving your parents crazy, the two of you? Were you all jamming in the house? And
Yes,
Yeah.
They were actually very supportive of it all. You know,
That's
there'd be a
great.
couple of times when Mum would come upstairs and say, "You got to stop playing the double bass."
right.
That wasn't too often.
Right.
We actually had when we moved to the city, it was a 2-story
Oh,
house.
cool.
So the jam room was upstairs in my bedroom.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I remiss, man. I had a drum set in my bedroom for years, and I miss it, man. Yeah,
I don't miss it these days.
I know, yeah, I
don't
know.
miss it these days.
Exactly,
But then
right.
it was like, oh, perfect. This is unreal.
Wow, man. Did y'all play in other bands together prior to doing Psycroptic?
We did. We jammed with a few different people, just doing covers.
Okay.
Not necessarily metal. It was more like, okay, we'd try to do maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers
Right.
or Primus or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You know, nothing too extreme. Maybe a Metallica song here and there.
Mm-hmm.
The first band we did together was, I guess, a death black metal band called Disseminate. I would have been probably 17.
Wow.
So I think Joe was like 13, 14.
Was what death metal had you been aware of around that time to make y'all interested in doing something
By then,
like that?
it was more the Australian death metal that I heard.
Okay.
Bands like Bloodduster, Bremelin, Damaged, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
I'm not. No.
Killer bands.
Okay.
Actually had the fortune to play in 2 of them.
Really?
You know, as a kid, they were my favourite bands, and then getting to actually play in the bands was pretty crazy. It was so predominantly Australian stuff, and then hearing bands like Cannibal Corpse and Deicide and Morbid Angel and things like that. And it was like, cool, if it's got double bass and blast beats, give it to me.
Right on.
Got pretty myopic with it for a while.
Yeah. I mean, that hyper focus, I think if you're really getting into something that is pretty technically challenging, sometimes that is needed.
Exactly. Yeah. It definitely stepped my drumming up because it was like, wow, this is going on.
Sure.
Don't leave me behind. I've got to be part of it.
Right.
So probably around 17, 18 is when I really started to focus on, I want to play this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Getting into the blast beats and the double bass.
Right. And then your brother along with you, y'all were both getting interested in the same stuff?
Yeah.
They're willing to go down this rabbit hole of blast beats?
We started Psycroptic in 99, so I was 19, he was 16.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's wild. Just I think about how, for me, in my mind, Tasmania is so far away. I think it's amazing that you were being influenced by the same things that people in America and everywhere else were getting influenced by things, and like we're saying, like pre-internet as well. You know, y'all are finding about it. This information is traveling.
Yeah, I mean, if something resonates with you and you like it, you'll figure out how to find it.
Yeah,
you'll track it down. So pre-internet, it was tape trading to a degree.
Yeah.
You'd get mail order, CD, LP mail order lists.
Right.
So you base a lot of your decisions on either what the description of the album was, or if there was a band photo, you'd see the T-shirts.
Right, exactly.
Like, wow,
that's how. Yeah. Totally. That was a big one. I love it that you made that distinction, because I remember in early, it was a Mr. Bungle video, or was it? It was a Faith No More. I forget.
He was wearing the Napalm Death shirt.
Yeah, he would wear those, and he also wore like a Primus Frizzle Fry shirt at one of them as well. So yeah, you would see guys wearing shirts, or sometimes in the liner notes they would say thanks to these bands, and then you'd be all right, shit, I got to check these other bands out.
Totally.
It's hilarious.
I think Cephalic Carnage actually had a song where it was a thanks list to all these bands. It was like, okay, cool, there's all these bands I gotta go and check out now. So
nice. Well, I know y'all ended up changing some members, right? I guess you're a different bass player and vocalist now.
So from the original lineup, we parted ways with the original vocalist after the first 2 albums. That was just differing opinions and differing. It happens. Right. It happens, we wanted to tour a lot more, and that's something he didn't really want to do.
It is hard.
So there's no resentment there. It's just how it works out.
Yeah. Does anybody in the band now have kids?
Yeah, our vocalist Jason does.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got 2
and
kids.
He's able to pull it off.
Yeah, he'll switch in and out of some tours. Like this tour, we've actually got Jason from Origins filling in for us. He's done that on a couple of tours, so he's kind of like he's part of the family as far as we're concerned. And then our original bass player Cam Grant, I guess life got in the way.
Yeah, it'll happen.
He got a crazy job that he couldn't turn down.
Yeah,
a fly-in, fly-out job. So it was like, well, there's no more touring.
Yeah.
So we used Todd Stern as a fill-in for a couple of years until we could actually get those two to meet each other.
Right.
And then it was like that was important for us, for them to meet, and then we'd be like, well, Todd's the new guy now.
Right.
Get Cam's approval, and then, Todd's the guy.
Gotcha.
So, these days, the lineup's solid. We're all very happy and motivated. Probably more motivated than we have been for a long time,
Right.
Which is cool after 20 years.
Absolutely, man. That is so. It's just an amazing story, man, of sticking it together. And it's a conversation that I have a lot with musicians. I mean, just keeping a band together, keeping people interested. You know, I mean, very few times you'll find like an original lineup. You know, you're always going to go through members. Just life shit happens,
exactly,
man. And it doesn't get easier as we get older.
That's it.
Life
gets in the way.
It's not like life gets cheaper.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
just still unless you're just still living with your mom in your mom's basement, and you're like just waiting to inherit a house or something, assuming she owns it.
It's like that's a pretty sad way to live, but if that's your thing,
exactly,
go and do it.
Might be hard to find chicks. That would be my motive. Like, I can't get laid in this house, and living in my mom's basement. And like, Mom, where's the meatloaf? You know?
Yeah, it's like a disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
There's your red flag, right? Oh my God. Well, going forward, man, do you have any plans of coming back on this record, or is the next step to go back and work on something else? Or
well, not necessarily on this record, but on these visas.
Right.
So we get 1-year visas. So
okay.
They cost so much money, and it's a lot of aggravation, but it's just part of it.
Yeah.
You got to go jump through the hoops. If
yeah.
you're visiting someone's country, you got to play by their rules.
Right.
So we've got visas until September next year. So we'll definitely be back before then.
Awesome.
As soon as we get back, we will start work on new material.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it will take.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so
I imagine it's a process.
Yeah. But we probably won't book anything else until the next US tour.
Right. Earlier we were talking about like click tracks and certain BPMs and this and that and the other. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you was live, if you feel like you're stuck to that BPM that y'all recorded in the studio or whatever, do you listen to clicks live?
Yeah.
Okay, so and is there enough deviation within the songs to where it has to be tempo mapped necessarily, or is it pretty solid tempo wise within the songs?
All the clicks are. Yeah, tempo map to... They're actually from the studio sessions.
Okay,
we just
gotcha.
take them straight off the...
Gotcha.
So I actually play along to the album tracks.
Okay.
So rather than
any
monitoring issues or whatever,
right.
I've got the same sound every night.
Oh, that's an interesting approach.
Yeah, so it just helps with the consistency.
Right.
Playing along to clicks is these days way easier for me.
Yeah.
It's that's how it is. Every night's going to be depending on how you're feeling. Sometimes you want to play too fast; it brings you back and grounds you. Sometimes you're dragging, and it's like, well, no, that's the tempo. So.
Yeah. I hear you. That's always nice to be able to rest on it, because I've always said, as humans, we can be emotionally and mentally inconsistent day to day.
100%,
but if the click is the reference point it is consistent, and the more and more comfortable you get with playing it, it's just, I've gotten to the point where I just don't even think about it if I'm playing it live. Yeah. Just like, this is what it is. I've always rehearsed it this way.
Yeah.
So, what about triggers? What in your opinion, do you feel as though they're super necessary at these higher BPMs because you just start to lose some of the articulation in the bass drum? Or
it's I guess not so much the articulation; it's more the velocity. You're going to lose the velocity at the high BPMs.
Yeah.
And the intensity of the music kind of calls for intensity at all times.
Right.
If I was playing jazz, I'm not gonna trigger the bass drum.
Fuck no.
You need the dynamics.
It's the antithesis of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's boomy and resonant and tonal, almost borderline melodic.
Yeah. Totally. But for the more extreme music, it's like if I go and watch a band and it's not triggered for death metal, it's like it's kind of losing some impact almost.
Really.
That's just me because I'm a death metal freak.
Right.
And playing wise, I actually will play better if I can hear my triggers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I can lock in a lot tighter. It helps me maintain the groove, helps me maintain the tempos.
Interesting. I'd have to A/B it. I've never played with them before, and I don't play anything beyond. I'm a lower, BPMs with my double bass stuff, so I'm fine to just whatever.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. In talking to Elliot Hoffman from Car Bomb, he was saying that it puts the bass drum control in your hands, and you know what the bass drum is going to sound like. That was his idea on it. He's like, you're kind of taking it out of front of house's control, and you know that you're going to have it, and it's going to be placed, and people are going to be able to hear it.
Yeah. That's a great way to view it, right? As well. all those things. It's like a combination of everything.
Yeah.
I prefer playing 2 bass drums. I just like the feel of it.
The action of it, yeah.
It just feels good to me. So getting the consistency tuning-wise is always going to be a problem.
Yeah. True.
And
yeah.
our front of house guy will also mic the bass drum, so you get the triggers and
blend of
the
that.
blend, which I think is good because
I agree.
You'll get the dynamics for the different tempos,
Right.
But for the faster stuff, and especially for my own monitoring, in my ears I'll get click, guitar, and triggers. That works for me.
Right on.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Well, Dave, it was great talking to you, man. Congrats to you and your brother and the rest of Psycroptic on the new record. I think it's great.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, and once again, I'm psyched to see both y'all and Revocation and my childhood band, Idols and Voivod, all on one bill. So this is pretty exciting.
Killer.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
very much.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
been heaps of fun.
Yeah, next time you come back, we'll talk about like platypus and wombats and what's another
Koalas,
kangaroos,
and all the snakes.
Yeah, you got real fucking dangerous snakes there, right?
Yep.
Like the most dangerous snakes.
They're pretty dangerous, yeah.
Highly venomous, dangerous fucking snakes. Spiders, too, I imagine.
Spiders,
All
yeah.
kinds of shit that'll kill you in Australia.
Yeah. But you got guns over here.
We got a lot of guns here.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Good talking to you, dude.
Likewise, awesome.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Dave for hanging. Again, what a great bill with them, Voivod and Revocation. No shortage of just amazing music, shredding, nostalgia, and headbanging. What can I say? So good. Keep your eyes and ears peeled every Monday for these episodes, and I'll keep trying to crank them out. Hope y'all enjoy them. Catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.